Welcome to another episode of the podcast from the Black Lagoon,
where we metaphorically slice and dice horror films of old and new. You're defeated, is what you are.
Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows. Joe Berlinger? I'm Brian. I'm the PR agent for Joe Berlinger.
No, Brian, you are Joe Berlinger.
I am Joe Berlinger. Nick.
You.
Nick?
All you need is a hat, buddy. I'm Nicholas Alexander Hacks. Sexually confused.
Oh, I'm back. Oh,
I'm
now confused. I know where I am. Never mind.
I'm confused.
Okay.
I'm just confused.
Yeah, that brought me back. Okay. What did we watch, bud?
I don't even know if we were even coherent.
Were we alive? What happened?
Was that just like a time... Were we stuck in a time loop? So today we watched Blair Witch 2, the Book of Plot Convenience. Basically, when you watch a movie and you go into a forest with your friends and you all go crazy, but before you figure out that you all went crazy and killed a bunch of people, you're trying to find out who destroyed your shit, and then you realize, me?
You destroyed your shit with your teeth. You shredded paper. Paper was what moved this. I don't want to even.
Murder.
Nick.
Let's get into the guts of the film.
And when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Joe Berlinger, the whole movie. I was sitting there, and you can see this in real time through the reaction. I was telling you, why does this feel so much like this really big case around this time? And sure enough, the movie ends, and it was directed by Joe Berlinger, and it made this movie even worse because this is a man I really respect. He's made incredible documentaries. He was behind Brothers Keeper. He was behind the 3 Paradise Lost films. He produced Extremely Wicked, one of the best movies about a serial killer ever made.
Oh, he did that movie? That's the
He
only
produced
movie?
it. I don't know what his creative involvement was, but
I don't know anything from this guy, and I just watched
Paradise Lost is like a staple of that time. It is like one of the most important documentaries that's come out in a long time. It's really controversial, but it was a big deal about like trying to escape the world of scapegoating goth kids in small towns for stuff. He went on to produce this Metallica movie that became a big deal too. He's important. He's a good guy, and he directed this film, and I'm here because
film,
I know.
That's the issue here, Brian. We have to talk about your hero, Joe Berlinger, and the shit that he took on my carpet when I specifically told him, you go outside and do your business.
But he didn't. Joe Berlinger stayed inside. He looked you in the eyes.
I do not shit where I eat. I eat off the carpet, Brian, like an animal. He did me one up. And that's not even what an animal would do. I don't know.
I'm shocked that we're still in this joke.
I don't know any dog that would shit on a carpet.
Still going.
Yep, still going. Because I got up at 6:00.
I know,
this
to
morning.
watch this movie.
We got up at 6:00 to watch this. Really. I knew it was a sequel. I knew my hopes were low. My expectations were low. And yeah, how could you set the bar even lower? How?
I really hate watching this. I know, and then just being like, this is horrible, and it's like,
no, just unleash your feelings.
It truly was a disaster of a sequel, and it took every single thing that made Blair Witch really good, a brilliant, subtle movie, and it answered questions we had in that movie with a dumb answer. It introduced new things into that world that we didn't even ask for. It affirmed that there's some magical element going on. It brought up this weird debate about stuff that nobody really cares about. And it was this painfully irresponsible, borderline offensive parallel to the West Memphis 3 case of these kids who were being allegedly wrongly committed for this murder of 2 young boys.
should we go deep, like delve a little bit deep into this West Memphis case? Because I'm kind of interested into hearing like the similarities between this movie and that case.
Dom and I just got off of like, I don't know how long those documentaries were. It was a lot. It was like a 12-hour documentary binge looking through Paradise Lost, all three of them. And it was really interesting and really riveting. And those documentaries do have their issues, but they're super important and well done. And the headline version of all this is young boys were killed and assaulted and mutilated in the woods. It was a small town. And these kids were scapegoated because they listened to metal music and wore black and were edgy kids who kind of dealt with being bullied by leaning into their dark side. Like people would be like, "Oh, what are you gonna go sacrifice some kids in the woods?" Like, "Yeah, we're gonna go sacrifice some kids in the wood." They were trying to function as the kids who wore black in this area that wouldn't accept it. And again, this is like. I'm not going to pretend that this is a simple case. This is a huge oversimplification of what really happened.
It's very
but these
like
kids were scapegoated.
Salem witch trials type shit, where we're just pointing at like the simplest answer for something horrific that happened. It's like, oh, it's you guys. Just witch hunt. Fucking witch hunt. There you go.
And the shocking thing isn't that these people were investigated by the police, because it is their job to follow up every single lead, even if it sounds dumb and ridiculous. The crazy thing is that they were put into trial, and one of them is sitting on death row. One of them got on death row for years because of these claims. And this is, I don't want to talk too long about this, because that's going to imply that I know enough about it to spread information to the public. But watch the documentaries and then do some reading that conflicts with the documentaries and get a full picture of it. But it's crazy, and the only reason...
We're not here to talk about Paradise Lost. We're here to talk about Blair Witch 2 book of plot convenience.
Of course, if any movie can take on injustices in the criminal justice system, it is, of course, Blair Witch Book of Shadows, right? If there's any movie that can talk in real time about an ongoing miscarriage of justice, it's going to be Joe Berlinger's Book of Shadows.
A literal miscarriage, though. We had a miscarriage in the movie.
We did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Horrible joke. I'm so sorry.
Yikes. It's
okay.
okay.
It's okay. I made the joke. Not. I'm sticking to my guns.
You stick into it.
Sticking to the guns.
I just don't think. All right. We're gonna free associate. But before we do that, I'm gonna just read a quote I found by Joe Berlinger. So I'm not just attacking this guy or his creative product. He says, "No film, not mine or Adam Wingard's, was going to do that kind of business. Creatively, my intention was to do something very meta that made fun of the very idea of doing a sequel." Interesting. "But the studio butchered the film at the 12th hour. But my film still grossed $13 million opening weekend, with a lot of hate being thrown my way prior to release. Movie tickets were a lot cheaper in 2000 than now. I was released on less screens, and with inflation and movie ticket prices taken into account, my grosses in today's dollars were about $20 million per Forbes magazine column." I don't know why he's talking about money so much. "I was handed a lot of the hate that I told killed this franchise." He had a bigger idea to do some meta commentary on his own documentaries that he was doing.
That's kind of an interesting aspect. I mean, yeah, I can kind of see where he was going with it, but it didn't land. And another thing that I kind of just noticed is that you like to take the time to throw everything out in the open and make sure you cover your tracks by saying, "Oh, like I don't want to just outright fucking like pitchfork and torch this movie to death because it's somebody's creation," whereas I would just be like, shoot first, ask questions later, just fucking kill it.
This is the tension that keeps the podcast going.
I feel like it is, and you completely dread watching horrible movies because it's very energy draining. I get that. It's going to happen at one point or another. We're going to stumble upon duds here and there. So it's inevitable. And we just so happen to stumble upon a dud which, I mean, I totally like saw it coming. Like I wasn't surprised. I would have been surprised if this movie was really good. Now I could see what he was going for with this whole pseudo documentary of, you know, these edgy kids doing occult things and murder.
And then the police just like saying, "Oh, it was you. It must have been you. I've been following you our whole." But it's like even that is an oversimplification of the case that he was trying to represent responsibly. And I'm not saying that fiction has to entirely mirror nonfiction or whatever. That's dumb. It was inspired by the case, not trying to parallel it in any way. But it was really simplistic. And I can't buy his remark here that at the 12th hour, the studio butchered his film. The pieces didn't work. I don't think at the last second this film was destroyed from the masterpiece that it was. The pieces just don't work. The characters don't work. The context of it doesn't work. It literally misunderstands everything that made Blair Witch amazing. And I understand that he thought maybe it'd be cool to make a movie that tackles the themes of the things I'm dealing with, but Blair Witch isn't the franchise to do that.
Right.
Blair Witch was never about the criminal justice system.
Yeah, let's kind of take into comparison. Let's compare the movies together. So Blair Witch was a lot more slow paced. It took its time to kind of set the tone and the characteristics of the world behind a camera. We didn't have like another camera where it's like, oh, it's theatrical. This was set to be set in reality to make the viewer believe that this was real.
We never saw a thing. Constant tension.
Really fucking awesome
idea,
especially back in 1999.
1 year before this movie came out. Guess what was rushed out? 1 year.
Joe Berlinger had a fucking all-you-can-eat Taco Bell feast, and he just unleashed a giant, not even solid turd. It was watery. Just lettuce that wasn't even digested. It just came out of his rectum. And yes, I'm giving you full exclusive details on Joe Berlinger's diet and toilet bowl war crimes. Toilet bowl war crimes, yes. That's what I'm going for. It's what we do. Yep. I cover wars, you know. There's a reference to Dead Rising, but that's neither here or there. Anyways, clearly getting up at 6 o'clock and getting ready to start recording at 6:30 is not my sweet spot. Getting up at 7 o'clock and getting ready to record at 7:30 is nice. This was horrible. The movie, we sat through the entire time just dumbfounded. We didn't even get like 30 minutes into the movie realizing that, oh my god, this movie is fucking horrible. It was like not even like 20 minutes into the movie.
I remember 20 minutes counting every second, and then that continued until the end.
I was completely like not immersed into this movie whatsoever.
No, and I want to finish what you're doing too. You introduced a really. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was another comparison to Blair Witch. The first movie was completely immersive, and not at any single point in time did I feel like I was taken out of the movie.
Right.
This movie had a there was just so many jarring moments of like, oh, POV. Like the POV didn't last that long. It kind of just went away.
It's just stylistic. Just they can have a big
hey,
murder
reference.
Mystery element at the very end, and it's kind of like a weird fan servicey thing too. And
yeah,
it's very odd. None of it really works, and I'm almost like less concerned talking about what this movie chose to do, and more concerned with all the things it didn't do that it should have, or that it just. Blair Witch 1, what did it do that was so brilliant? The mystery, the tension, the lack of any sort of bearing on what's really happening, the open question about what happened to these people who were filming this documentary, about the worldliness or otherworldliness of what happened. This film just starts answering questions, and like it literally taints the context of the first film.
I'm kind of interested to see what the 2016 version did.
I'm gonna be frank, even though
Hi,
it
Frank.
was. I knew you were gonna do it. I knew you were. I don't know why I say things sometimes when I know
You have to
that
say things.
the omens
because this is a
unfold on the
this is
on
a
the Zoom call,
podcast.
and I say them anyways.
This is a podcast, Brian. You have to say things. It
I
is
guess I have to
inevitable.
speak.
You are working with me. You are working
I
with
have no
a
mouth
jackass.
and I must scream.
You were working with a fucking jackass here. Hi, everybody.
I believe that I have lost my place. I don't remember what I was saying.
You were... Wow.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
I just... You said you were going to be Frank. And I said, hi, Frank.
But what was I gonna be frank about? Oh yeah, okay, now I got it. Alright.
You're welcome. Go, go, go. Don't
Okay.
lose it.
2016 Blair Witch, I wasn't a fan. We're gonna get to it, but it was better than
Was it
this.
better?
And it made an even bigger mistake that I won't even infer or imply because I want you to watch it fresh. It made a gigantic, huge mistake. And it was still so much better and more understanding of the source material than this was.
Yeah.
So we'll get to it and we'll watch that. And comparatively, I think I can watch that with new eyes at this point, and that'll be very interesting.
I feel like this is the type of movie that you would see at like a Saturday afternoon on Sci-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah. And like in that respect, it's like a fine background film. It's like, oh, let's just put this on, it's something. But to make this the sequel to Blair Witch,
I don't know.
is
I kind of feel
absurd
like
to
that
me.
was kind of disrespectful to the other sci-fi movies. Even then, I can like appreciate some of the schlocky shit that came
Sure.
out of sci-fi.
some of it was very self-aware. Yeah, it knew what it was.
CGI Owl though. CGI
I like
Owl.
CGI out.
Should we have that as a fucking mascot? Like
CGI
on
Owl is good.
merch?
Yeah.
Just a fucking wasted owl on the floor, its mouth moving.
He,
I love
he
that
saw
owl.
a lot. Yep.
And he was a part of the fucking montage and we called it.
Yep.
We called it.
Party montage and then also the satanic murder montage. He was a part of both.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
Yep.
sure that'll make the cut for the reaction. We talked a lot during that reaction. A little.
There's nothing else to do.
I mean,
What else was there to do? Everything unfolding was we had the hacker. We had like
Right.
the goth girl whose only purpose is to be goth on camera. We had the Wiccan who was supposed to be there and add some like insight into what's going on, but ultimately did nothing but
Not only-
unclothe on screen.
not only was she the goth girl, but she had plot convenience vision.
Oh
of-
yeah, they didn't even. What was the point of that? They just dropped it. Like there wasn't even a significance to it.
I think it was just like she saw that one guy fry in the electric chair. So I guess
Unimportant.
that's
They just
like,
needed a
like-
jump scare. Like there's no service of that. You know, it doesn't service anything.
I guess that's his fate. That's what's gonna happen off screen.
And like, why are we introducing into this world? Premonitions are real. Was that a question that Blair Witch opened up? Was that fruitful new territory to explore in a sequel? I don't think so. Why did we learn that? Like, why is the Blair Witch, whatever it is, reduced to a bunch of dead kids who
And it
dance
turned-
around in rooms and say little one-liners? Like, come on.
It turned everybody on each other. Like that one girl that was pregnant.
Yeah,
Then-
that was weird.
Yeah. So
Ugh.
that was a complete mindfuck. Not even a mindfuck and like, oh my god, man, my mind is totally blown. I can't believe that actually happened. It's more like I feel violated and I need to curl up in the tub
Yeah.
naked.
Yeah.
No, not even naked. Clothes on.
Because you're just too broken and vulnerable to unclothe. I understand. This wasn't a film about camping or going out in the woods and getting lost and then dealing with stuff.
Do you understand, Brian?
I'll never understand, but I'm here for you.
Do you understand, Frank? Joe Berlinger.
This is getting
Cage.
hypnotic. You've entered the dream sequence portion, the final chapter in a Cormac McCarthy book where everything is just insane.
Should we play the podcast in reverse to see what actually happens?
Oh yeah, maybe then we'll exercise whatever demons we've been carrying around for our whole lives.
What kind of exercises would these demons be doing? Would they be doing
Aerobics.
pull-ups, aerobics, yoga,
Yes, water polo.
waterboarding?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I say, if you don't oppose to this, let's just jump into the eulogy.
Are you HIV positive? We should jump into the eulogy, Brian.
I don't like it, and I'm not going to acknowledge it.
You better acknowledge me, Brian. You know what happens when people don't acknowledge me?
We can't go back to that, Nick.
We
Not on
can't
air.
go back.
The eulogy.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. May God be with this young man's soul. And may Rod Lane rest in peace.
Blair Witch 2, The Book of Shadows, 2000. Yeah. I cast you out, you fucking disaster of a movie. What the fuck was that? I just imagine, like, everybody is just, like, shocked.
This is a burial.
No, actually, you know what? If this was an actual funeral, nobody would be here.
Absent. Crickets in the background.
Maybe like one or two people.
Yeah.
But, well, I'm going to not even just give this like parting words or anything like that. I'm just going to go straight into fucking killing this movie by ritualistic insanity, by stabbing it over and over again, then waking up the next day or whatever with CGI Owl completely fucked up out of its mind because it just did too
That's
many
CGI Al. That's what he does. That's our guy.
hallucinogenics.
Yeah.
He has really gone downhill. Like his acting career, he did his own stunts, but he was also on drugs, so he didn't feel anything. Like
he was
all
an
of that-
extra in Wolf on Wall Street.
Was he really?
He was, and during all of the high sequences, he just played himself.
I can't
and
believe he
DiCaprio
actually-
loved him.
I can't believe he was actually near a wolf that was on Wall Street. I thought like wolves ate owls.
Good lord, yikes! What is with the all the animal stuff on Wall Street? Is this what our
Why is a
podcast
wolf on
doing
Wall
too?
Street?
You're
What the fuck is
bullish,
his
you're
business
bearish,
there?
and then there's a wolf on Wall Street.
Brian, you didn't answer my question. Well, why is there a wolf on Wall Street? What does a wolf have any business doing on Wall Street?
He's trading options.
Doing drugs.
He's
A lot of
increasing his
Quaaludes.
exposure to
A lot
crypto in an unstable market where inflation puts the traditional
snorting.
portfolio allocation into question.
Starting blow out of a hooker's ass. Yes.
What happened to us?
I'm getting voices.
Okay.
Well, sometimes that is better.
So, this was obviously taken off of IMDb. That's what I usually do for these segments. This was posted by Sandy Mayer, February 4th, 2013. Gave it 10 out of 10 stars. Titled it, Not the Worst Second Time. Warning, there is some broken English, and I will be reading it in broken English. So, excuse me. I really don't know why everybody puts this nice horror movie down saying it ruins the first Blair Witch movie. Okay, the first Blair Witch Project is cult because it was different and it was the headstone for a more than 10 years and still lasting hype for hand camera found footage horror movies. But I've seen Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows for many times. Okay, 70% of it I came back home drunk and picked out this DVD again and again. But I love it. The way the storylines are brought together is more plausible and convincing than many other sequels. The characters are really non-sympathetic, and the central idea of the reverse theme is great. I'm not going to go any further into that.
It is okay to like this movie. We like
Obviously.
movies that are critically panned.
Yep.
We don't like movies that are critically loved. This happens, and it's fine, and it's part of being a human being who is experiencing something as subjective as filmmaking.
No, Brian.
It's okay.
We are gods.
What I
We
want
are
to
gods.
say, save it for the cult, the not cult. Patreon/BLN.
What
Join
cult?
us.
Join us.
There's something. It's fine. It's okay. I get it. I get where that person's coming from. I do.
No, I don't.
I don't think
I don't.
it is really sensible to compare one sequel to other sequels and say it was better than this other sequel, therefore it is a valid sequel to this movie. I think there can be a lot of sense in entirely changing a franchise because that's what it needs to be renewed. Like Scream kind of did that when we got the first and then the second and then the third, and it like this is a projection that worked for me. In this case, they tried to completely change it, which is an admirable artistic decision because it is more difficult. But the direction it took did not work. It did not explore new fruitful ground for me. It actually went back and ruined the thing that all of the people liked about the first one.
Right.
And when you betray the one thing that makes you work, what is left but an empty shell with people who say Blair Witch 10 times a minute and then have little insignias on them? And that is the only connection to the first film.
Joe Berlinger.
Joe Berlinger.
From Berlinger Coat Factory.
Oh my god.
Where you
that
can
is-
find a redhead in a closet.
Ooh. Man, we've got some stretches today. Joe Berlinger Coat Factory, which is a reference to the reaction episode where in 1 minute of the 2-hour-long movie, a girl, Nick says, is pretending to be a coat.
You still have your
After.
voice.
Of course, in this film, my guy's in it. He's the bright spot of Book of Shadows. Roger
Shit.
Ebert, in the back of Gene Siskel's head,
Book-
are
book-
presented proudly
Shit.
and beautifully. Who are you
Berlinger-
attacking here?
Berlinger's just taking
Oh,
a
I
book
see.
and just wiping his ass after that nice
Yeah.
diarrhea dump that he just
I'm so
took.
unconcerned with what is the book. I don't care. I thought I cared. I don't. Okay, so again, heavily abridged Roger Ebert review. If you want the whole Ebert view, I'm breaking. If you want the full
Review?
Ebert
Internet.
experience,
Internet.
you've got to read through the reviews.
Review.
He says, oh no. To direct a sequel to their phenomenal Blair Witch project, Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez made an unexpected choice. Joe Berlinger, co-director of the documentaries Paradise Lost. Those films make a persuasive case that 3 innocent young men from Arkansas are in prison, one on death row, because of local hysteria over teenagers who wear black and listen to heavy metal music. Meanwhile, a person who seems to be the real killer does all but confess on camera. The movies are deadly serious because they make the case that injustice is being done. Lives are at stake. I wondered earlier why Berlinger would want to make a fictional film on witchcraft and black magic, but suspended judgment. He's one of the best documentarians around. But now that I've seen Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, I'm disturbed. The Blair Witch Project was perhaps one of a kind. Its success made a sequel inevitable, but this is not the sequel I suspect. It is not the sequel that I suspect anyone much wanted. The opening scenes, the documentary showing the townspeople affected by the first film, is a more promising approach because instead of trying to cover similar ground, it goes outside the first film and makes its own stand. He has harsher words somewhere in the middle of that, but we don't need to revisit territory we've already explained. He didn't like it for reasons that we kind of agreed with.
It had a promising beginning. I really did like the beginning. That's what I will take out. Like, try to give a little bit of a positive feedback on this movie. The beginning was really interesting, and I thought that it was gonna like take this another step further and being like a pseudo documentary on
on a movie that exists in its world. That's
Yeah.
really, I was thinking like that's what
Yeah,
Scream did,
exactly.
where they had the up the ante and then changed the meta game to not revisit the same ground, and they did it.
Very fucking
Cool
meta
idea.
and
They just didn't pull it off.
social commentary out the ass, but no, they didn't. They went
Yeah.
more of with a more theatrical route, and it really didn't do this movie any favors.
Yeah.
So I guess it's time to release these voices and go straight into the final cut. This movie was a chore.
Mm-hmm.
A chore to sit through. I kept looking at the time to see how far we had. That is not a good sign. When your movie is making me look at the timestamp, you have failed. You have
Yes.
failed. This
There was a
movie-
moment in the reaction where you said, "I feel like I'm doing dishes," and I felt that on a spiritual level.
I feel like I'm doing dishes. Nobody wants to do dishes.
It felt like dishes.
This was dishes for
Joe
your
Berlinger
eyes.
tagline: "Feels like dishes." Book of Shadows.
The Blair Witch 2 feels like
Dishes.
dishes.
The
dishes of
dishwasher's broken.
shadows.
The electricity is out. Dishes.
What was the Book of Shadows?
I feel like they never even told us
There
or tried
was
to
no
tell
book.
us. I don't get it.
There was no book. What? So, okay. I'm giving this a 3 out of 10 slashes.
Okay.
I felt like it wasted my fucking time.
Yeah.
I felt like it really did waste my fucking time, and well, I mean, it did not necessarily waste my time. Like, if I were to watch this on my own, yeah, definitely, I feel like for sure I didn't get anything constructive out of this. But we're doing like a YouTube channel and a podcast channel, and we're being productive. We're being productive members of the internet. Hi, internet.
Yes.
Anyways, this movie on its own does not justify a rating any higher than what I gave it, and I feel like a 3 is a little bit of an overreach, and I'm being too nice. But that's what I'm going to give it, and that's just my final cut. That's it. 3 out of 10 slashes.
I've never had to come up with a rating for a movie like this before. Since we've been doing this segment, we've been watching some pretty solid movies, and very rarely a mediocre film, but there's 1 or 2 in there. This, I don't even have a conception of how to rate.
You gotta rate it. You I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
give me your best shot. I can't wait
It
to
is
hear it.
new territory because at least with the other films, I have a metric. I have my best movies, my middle movies, and the stuff that falls in between. I do not have a conception for films that fall below 5, and this definitely falls below 5. So again, where 0 is a black screen that punches you for watching it, and 10 is the thing, I think this is I think it's a 3. I think that's a good rate. I think this is a 3. We need to leave room in the bottom half because there are things that do less than this, but it actively disrupts something great. Well, we watched it, and it's okay if you liked it, and people did recommend this to us, and you know what? I hear you. More power to you. Continue walking.
Joe Berlinger.
It's Joe
Coat
Berlinger.
Factory.
I can't believe it.
See, we have all these nice fancy pea coats. We got trench coat and red-haired dead woman.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yep. Joe Berlinger Coat Factory. It's a good joke. It's solid. The fundamentals are there. It's good. I like it.
It's not solid. It's liquid. It's clarified.
Oh, yep.
Joe
Yep.
Berlinger.
I
Change
think
diet.
we're closing up shop. How are we
Yep.
doing?
That's it.
Thank you.
Well,
Subscribe. Watch our reaction. Join the Patreon to get
Penis.
stuff. There's things there.
Yeah.
It's all spelled out there.
I'm broken. Ryan's broken. There's nothing much more to take.
Goodbye.